Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Hormigas, although some of you might know me by my name Alvaro. And today is gonna be a slightly different video than we usually do because, as some of you might know, I've recently acquired this new bike, brand new Aprilia RS 660. And I've noticed that some people are having some troubles both understanding and going through the different options and settings that you have in the menus to change a little bit the bike. So I thought it was a good idea to make a special video going through all of it in detail and trying to explain as much of it as we can. So I have everything already set up to start. There's my GoPro. We're gonna just jump straight into it. Let's go. So we're already here. We got the bike on standby. We have our hard key already in, so let's just turn it on. It greets us with all these lights and that cool animation with the Aprilia logo. And as soon as we jump in, we're gonna find usually this screen that we have right now. If you have the bike set up on a different mode for this track, it will be different, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So, as I said, this is the greeting that you will have. The first time that you turn on your bike, it will ask you to introduce a code. This code is important, and I don't think many people got this explained by the people that sold the bikes to them. But when you start the bike at the beginning and it asks you for a code, what it is doing is asking you for a code that will be used in case you lose your keys and you have to code different keys to the bike. So with this code, you can avoid going through some of the mess that it is usually to do that. By just introducing that code, then you can recode the bike itself, introducing those keys. So I just wanted to mention that because I feel like many people just don't know it. Second thing that we're gonna find is the upper part of the screen shows the temp of the bike. Sadly, it doesn't have the actual degrees on it. It's just some bars. So I think it's kind of convenient to explain what kind of temps you are having with each. As long as the bike is not above 50 degrees, I believe, 50 degrees C on the water. I don't really know about Fahrenheit. You will not get any kind of bar over here, okay? So usually you shouldn't really ride the bike unless you wait for that to heat up. Luckily, this bike, being part of the Euro 5 bunch of bikes, it does run kind of hot, so it doesn't really take too much time to heat up anyway. So the next bar, I believe, starts at 70 degrees, the next one at 90 degrees, the next one at 105 degrees, and usually you're only gonna see those 4 bars getting up. In fact, when you're moving, the bike will usually stay at around 3 bars, unless it's actually very hot or something like that, or you are moving through traffic with a lot of stop and goes. Then it's totally normal, as far as I understand on the bike as of now, to get from time to time that 4th bar of the engine temp. Anyway, that's that. We also have at the center top of the screen a name. It says commute. If I touch on the handlebar here on the right side and right below the startup red button, you can see that it will change. One click will change to dynamic. One click more will change to individual. On top of this, if you hold this same button, as you can see, we get a full menu with all the settings that these different riding modes have already on them. 2 of them are predefined and you cannot really change them at all, which is kind of a shame because, I don't know, I would personally like to be able to change them all, but sadly there's only 2 modes that you can actually modify. One is here, and the race mode on the bike has another 2, And again, only one of those two is fully customizable. So again, I would really like Aprilia to maybe change this on a future update of the firmware of the bike, because while I understand that the point was to try to keep everything with an order, I'm not really a fan. I cannot hide that. Anyway, let's keep going. So on the left side we have these 4 buttons that are very important to the operation of the bike in general. So far we haven't used them, but these are the buttons that let you mainly control the bike. Click on the right arrow. We get inside the individual mode, we get one of these 5 options highlighted, and we can just keep pressing to keep going from one to the other one. So let's start by the first one, AEM. AEM, okay, wait a second guys, I'm sorry. So, as I was saying, AEM stands for Aprilia Engine Map. It's kind of misleading, let's be honest. It doesn't actually change the engine map, it changes the throttle map. So you will get a different response from the throttle, and it is very noticeable, to be honest. But as far as I'm aware, and I've asked as many people I could about the subject, the bike makes the same power in all of the modes, and it's been kind of confirmed already by many dynos and many people. So unless Aprilia comes now and says, hey, you're wrong, I'm gonna go by that. So you have 3 options over there. If you wanna go from one to the other one, instead of pressing the right button, you can either just click up or down and it changes. One general rule of thumb for the settings on this bike is that the lower the number is, or not present at all, the less active these riding helps are. So Aprilia Engine Map number 1 will be the most performant one, and if you check on dynamic and commute, each have like decrementally decremental numbers. So commute is on Engine Map 3, dynamic is on Engine Map 2, and individual comes standard on number 1. To be honest, I like them all, so I usually on commute, sometimes change to dynamic if I'm a little bit spirited, and whenever I just want to rip around, I'll go into individual. The only thing that I don't really love about the number 1 map for the engine is that it's kind of hard when you're going slow or you're trying to be very precise with the accelerator. It suddenly becomes a little bit hard to just avoid this kind of chop of the power delivery when you are going on it. So I don't know, it's something to keep in mind. Maybe something that Aprilia can also try to work on a little bit for further updates. So there's that about the AEM part. Let's go to the next one. AEB stands for Aprilia Engine Brake, and I think it's very self-explanatory. Basically, using the same logic that we did before, in number 1 Aprilia Engine Brake, you have the less engine brake possible from the bike. If you click up and go to 3, then you have the maximum, and number 2 is the middle ground. I don't know what to say about this. I'm not super sure that I can notice it a lot, but I've heard reports of many other people saying that they do notice it a lot. One thing to keep in mind is that my bike is still on the braking period. I mean, I'm doing the extended braking period of 1200 miles or 2000 kilometers. So that's to keep in mind. Maybe it does become more noticeable if you let the engine RPMs rise higher than I'm doing at the moment. So again, the highest number is the maximum amount and the lowest number is the minimum amount. If you keep in mind that kind of logic, you will not have too much troubles with this stuff. By the way, by default, on all of the maps, they will follow the same kind of logic where on commute you have the maximum amount of engine brake, dynamic has a little bit less, and then individual comes standard with the least amount. ATC, I think it's very universal, the TC part. This is the traction control. Again, that's the same. ATC on commute is 6, ATC on dynamic is 5, and ATC on individual is 4. And again, on individual, you can put it down all the way. As you see, it has 8 levels, which I believe is kind of good, but I feel like 6 is already kind of good. I mean, unless there's like a lot of rain and you have new tires, which is something that actually happened to me, then maybe potentially you could want to raise it to 7 or 8. But otherwise, number 6 is very, very sensitive. And one thing that I've noticed that is happening since a firmware update is that now you cannot really turn on the turn off the Aprilia traction control without also turning off the Aprilia anti-wheelie. And that's something that I don't really like at all. Let me just get back to there real fast. No, not here. So yeah, I don't like that. It's literally skipping the part over there. Before you could do this, and I was made aware of this fact by a video that I saw very recently, and I was like, hey guys, no, that's not true. I remember I had this set differently on my bike, but apparently with one of the firmware updates, this is no longer possible. And again, I'm saying this a lot of times, but I would really like Aprilia to change this on a future update, because this bike has an IMU which will allow it to have anti-wheelie control even if you completely disable ATC, unlike some other bikes which don't have the IMU. I don't know. Other than some kind of legislation that forced them to do this, I don't understand why they would do it. And I'm a little bit disappointed. So, I don't think I have to explain too much things about the traction control anyway. The next option is the wheelie control. And as I was saying, the Aprilia wheelie control is able to be turned off by itself if you still have the traction control. And before, you were able to have it on if you had the traction control off, which is something that I would really like Aprilia to change now. I've heard many people say that this bike doesn't wheelie. I don't know what to say, guys. Like, I have a bike that's limited to 48 bhp on the road, and it wheelies with this amount of power. So yeah, it's not gonna like wheelie on you out of nowhere like some 200 HP bikes, but if you say that this bike cannot wheelie, you probably just don't know how to wheelie. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's keep going. ABS is the next option. This one doesn't have Aprilia on the name, hopefully. It would have been too stupid to call it AABS, right? Aprilia Anti-Lock Brake System. Either way, here we do not follow the same rule in which... or maybe I'm wrong. Hold on a second for that. I was going to say it doesn't follow the same logic as the other settings, but it does. I just changed this myself because I'm going to explain that in a second. It follows the same logic as everything. Up and down will change the settings. And the thing is, with ABS on number 3, you have both ABS on the front wheel and on the back wheel, and they are on the most intrusive setting. But also you have Aprilia's new cornering ABS, which will allow you to brake mid-corner without the bike turning straight on you, which is something very good for new people to ride in, because it's very, very, very typical if you watch some of the videos of bike crashes on YouTube, that people just get scared right on the entry of a corner and the bike reacts to them braking by just standing straight, and then they go into the other lane or even out of the road, and you can imagine what follows. So I think that's very good, and sadly I don't remember, I'm very sorry about this, I don't remember if number 2 also has it. I think it does. I think number 2 has it, and that's why I switched it from 1 to number 2, because I wanted to have it. It's not that I'm very new, but I don't really care. I'm on the road and I want to keep it pretty safe. So since I'm also somebody that will make some mistake at some point, I think that was a smart thing to do. On the other hand, if you set it to number 1, you no longer have ABS on the back, and you no longer have cornering ABS. That's 100% sure. The only thing I'm not fully sure is that if you have it on number 2, and actually I'm pretty sure that you do. It's just number 1 will disable the back wheel ABS, and it will also turn off cornering ABS to allow you to make more aggressive entry braking, for example, on the track. So that covers pretty much everything with these settings on the street mode. So now what we're gonna do is show you how you go into the race settings. So as I was saying before, there's the race modes on the bike, but they're a little bit hidden and they're not straight available from the same place as the other modes are. So basically what you have to do is hold the right arrow when you're on the main menu. Right now I'm gonna come here, but that's because I have my phone connected. So in this same way you can arrive to the GPS indications if you have your phone connected. Anyway, let's just hold it again, and here we are. We're on the menu. First thing I'm gonna do is select here on vehicle. It says vehiculo because I am Spanish, and right now I have the bike set for my language, but I think I'm just gonna change that real fast so that people don't get confused. So there you go. Anyway, let's go. Here we are, vehicle. We have to click once, and then we enter on these options. I'm not gonna go through all of them right now because I want to keep it focused on what we were doing. What we want to do is switch the vehicle mode from road to race, and you do that by clicking once until the selection becomes red from the previous green state, and then you can use up and down to select on the options. We only have 2, so it doesn't really matter if you just click down or up all the time. We were on road, now let's go to race. And let's go back. As you see, this is the other greeting page that you can have on the bike if you are on the race mode. Changes quite a few things. Not gonna go in detail through all of that right now, because again, I just wanna talk about the maps themselves, and then we will go into this, okay? As you can see, same things that we've explained so far. Temp, the modes. So what we are going to do is repeat the process in which we click once and then we switch from the 2 available modes, as you can see. And if we hold, we also get the options to configure everything, to set it up. Again, only one of these maps is fully customizable, the other one you cannot really change anything at all. So if we click on the right, again, we can select all the options that we went through, and it's pretty much the same, but it's not the same. This mode is set up differently with different settings, but it also works differently. When you go into this map, some of the parameters of the riding helps change slightly. You're not going to find a lot of mentions to this anywhere, but trust me, I know people that are riding the bike on the track already on a regular basis, and they can feel a difference. I trust them, but take this with a grain of salt, because the placebo effect is many times very strong, okay? And I don't want to fall into that. I do believe that they work slightly different, because in the end, it doesn't really work the same. Also, one thing that leads me to believe that it doesn't really work the same is that in this mode, you can shift from first gear to second gear with no clutch, and you are supposed to not do that while you are on the normal road maps. Don't really have much information on this, but again, I've seen it commented a few times by people that are credible, and sometimes it's just very difficult to keep up with all the info, so especially on the newer bikes, which are so complex. Being that said, we're pretty much done here. I'm not going to touch anything. It's the same as before, and the process is the same. We are done with the modes of the riding in the bike. So in the same way that we got here, if we just hold, actually no, you just have to click once and then you get out of there. You could see there that we got the warning whenever you go into a mode in which you have stuff disabled. As you can see in the rear ABS and anti-wheelie control disabled. Okay, it will warn you. Same with traction control. So once we've already completed our way through the riding modes, how to change from road mode to race mode, I think we should focus a little bit on the more daily usage stuff of the bike. And I think we should start by this small onboard computer that we have accessible already from the beginning when we turn on the bike. As you can see, it is coated with colors, and you cycle through them with the right, clicking the right arrow. You see? You have two of them on the gray ones, and they're basically just the same but repeated, so you can have this is like the normal onboard computer, so you can have one and then you can have another one which you can reset at a different point. I've just resetted mine, which is good actually. Anyway, so yeah, let's start from the beginning. Well, actually, I don't know which one is the first one. Let's just cycle through them. We have your time. Time means how much time the bike has been on since you last resetted it. I would personally like to have one of these that doesn't reset at all, so you can keep track of exactly how many hours you have on the bike. This is especially useful for track use, but we don't have it. So if you want to use it like that, you'll have to, for example, use the B1 and not reset it. All right. So this one could be the one that you use to keep track of exactly how much time you've used in total the bike. So that's a good reason to have two of them. Then we have max speed if we scroll up, average speed, average fuel, that right now marks 99.9 because I've had the bike on, charging a little bit the battery without moving, so it doesn't use 99 liters, almost 100 per 100 kilometers, don't worry. It is thirsty though. I'm gonna have to say that my average has been around 6.5 liters every 100 kilometers. You're gonna have to work your way up if you wanna know what's that in mpg. I'm sorry, I'm just not with the imperial metric. So then you have fuel, which is a little bit confusing. If you just read that, then you might think this is the same than before, but no, this is an instantaneous consumption. So it doesn't update super fast. I think it updates once every second, but you can have an idea of exactly how much you are using if you have this on while you're riding and adjust a little bit to it. It's one of the things that I've tried to use a little bit, because really the bike, when you don't care, is using a little bit more fuel than I would honestly would like to. Odometer, same as every bike. This is my full distance. I have almost 1,800 kilometers, which translate, I think, to roughly 1,080 miles, something around there. And then trip, which is same distance, but for the last trip. This one will also reset. The previous one obviously doesn't reset, doesn't matter what you do. And we're back to time. So let's skip the B1 because it's the same, just repeat it. Here we have the green options, and I'm not gonna go super into details of this because this is mainly used to set your bike up with the phone. I'm gonna do a different video for that because it's kind of complex and I don't want this video to last forever. It's probably gonna be quite long already. So yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid that. I will link the video on how to connect and how to use Mia, which is the way to link your phone with the bike, just as I finish this one basically. So not gonna go into this too much, but just remember that green means the phone Mia stuff that you can connect. Blue is basically the same. Here you have, if you pair as well as the phone some kind of audio device, then you will be able to hear music and control it from here. So with up you scroll to the next song, with down you go back, and if you hold it then it starts playing. But I'm not super sure on that because I haven't used it. And at the time, it just goes to the next menu. Yeah, it goes to the next menu at this moment like that. Not sure how you exactly use that, but I will make a video specifically about the Mia system, so I guess we will see it there anyway. Let me just get real fast out of here. There you go. Then voice control, basically same as previous. You need to use this as an interface to control everything. The green one that we were visiting before is basically for the moment that you already have stuff linked, and this will allow you to link as well as to give the bike voice commands if you also have a microphone. Again, haven't really gone into detail for that, and I will have to check when I do the Mia video about what are the commands available, etc. So not going into a lot of detail to this again. I just want to mention what it is so you have an idea. And that's pretty much it for the onboard computer. We still have a few things to check out on the display, so let's do that. So picking up on where we left at the beginning when we started with the riding controls and the riding modes, we were talking about the commute mode. Here on the right side we have the fuel left, which is kind of a big thing for Aprilias. They historically haven't had fuel gauges, and that's something that a lot of people complain about. We finally have fuel gauges. The one thing I'm gonna have to complain, because that's the way I am. On the manual, on the owner's manual, here you can see that on top of the bars you should have a number that would indicate on either miles or kilometers how much distance you can still do with your current consumption and the fuel that you have left. You can see that on the owner's manual, but it's not on the bike. I haven't been able to find it. I haven't been able to find an option on the menu that activates it. If anyone knows, let me know, but I'm gonna have to assume that Aprilia hasn't really done this. But on the new RSV4, it does work. So yeah, there's that. Aprilia, please fix it. Anyway, over here we have our RPMs. I don't think I have to explain that. The one thing that I will explain is that this updates really fast. You know, there are a lot of screens in the market for this kind of TFT displays for bikes that just don't really update that fast. So they're kind of always lagging behind where you actually are, both in the speed and on the RPMs. This one, I have to say, does not do that, and that's something that I appreciate a lot. Honestly, it's a small detail, but I do enjoy it and appreciate it a lot, so gonna give credit where it's due. Over here, I skipped this. It's the speed. Again, I don't really think I have to explain it. But either way, yes, here it is the speed. You can change it from kilometers per hour to miles, obviously. And that's all you can have to say about it. Anyway, over here on the right side, we have a gear indicator. And I personally also have a number over here which says 35 kW. That stands for the fact that my bike is an A2 licensed bike for Europe, which are restricted to 35 kilowatts or 48 bhp. It's kind of annoying because, yeah, if you want to do things that you aren't supposed to do with the bike, this is something that you probably don't like. Let's just finish it there. Moving on. We explained already the onboard computer, so let's explain all these things down here. Basically, here you have all the icons that will allow you to know what's the state of the bike regarding a few things. On the very left, you have a kind of small A with 3 dots inside in blue color. That stands for the Bluetooth connection and the pairing with the Mia app with your phone. So when you have this, you know that your bike is connected to the Mia app with its full functionality. The next one will be the battery of your phone. It will change depending on how much battery you have on your phone left. I have to say it's kind of like always saying that you have a little bit less battery than you really do, so then you can sometimes freak out a little bit, but once you know it, doesn't really matter. Next one is the connection with the Bluetooth, but watch out. In this bike, you not only have to connect the bike through Bluetooth to get the functionalities, but you also have to have the app running on your phone. So this will tell you that you are connected to your phone, and once this is working, you also get the battery indicator. But this doesn't mean that you have, for example, the telemetry. Hold on a second. So yeah, this doesn't mean that you have the telemetry working or the GPS indications or the functionality of music, voice commands, etc. Just so that you know. Next up are these 2 small helmets. Each one represents 1 helmet from either the rider or the passenger. Big ones for the rider. So if you connect a device to the bike to hear music and all of this stuff, it will go into a solid white. By the way, should mention, when any of these is on that kind of grayed out white, then it means that whatever it is regarding is not on or connected. All right. So yeah, first one's for the one driving the bike. Second one is for the passenger. You can have them connected at different times. So this will remind you, and for example, if you lose connection with your passenger at any time, this will tell you, so you'll be aware of it. It's not super visible, but you can see it. Next up is this weird icon that stands for a map with a Google indicator of a destination. And this is obviously for the GPS indications. We already saw that if I click on the right arrow once, and I hold it, then I get these indications. I don't have anything set up for the trip, so it says 0 minutes, 0 meters, whatever. But once you have a destination set up, you will get indications here as well as distance, time left to arrive, and so on. Oh, let's go back. Okay, next up, this is the lights indications. Some of you might know that this bike has special lights in the sense that they have sensors to operate completely automatically, as well as lean light or in-corner lighting that will activate once the bike realizes that you are leaning past a given amount, which is really cool. I have to say, one of the features that I like the most on this bike is the lights. They are just really good, whereas most bikes have usually bad lights. These ones are great. Honestly, I love them and I think they do their job. Could they be better? Yeah, maybe they could be a little bit brighter once you lean. The ones that are lighting like at the very edges of your lighting are not super strong, but they are completely enough so that when you're going through this kind of super dark area, you see absolutely everything that you need to see. So again, credit where it's due. And last up on the things over here on the bottom with the icons is this gear that has a few arrows. At the moment it's on orange. This is for the quick shifter. Bike has a quick shifter by default. So it being on orange with the red arrow down means that for whatever reason the bike is commanding the quick shifter to not work on downshifts. Okay, this is basically because we're on first gear. There's no way you can downshift on first gear. But it could also be disabled up for whatever reason, and then it would also show an arrow up. Okay, this happens mainly when you are holding the clutch. There's a, can you hear that? That click is an interrupter that will disengage the gear, the quick shift. So when you activate it, you will get this, this icon on orange as well, with the up as well. And that means that upshifts are also disabled. Because we are with the bike on gear and it's not moving and the engine is turned off, that's why it's like this right now. But once we were moving, it would go white as the other ones to keep in line, and that would mean that your quick shifter is completely engaged. Last up over here, the only thing that we really have to see is like temp and the time. Nothing to comment on it, other than you can choose different formats. You can choose Fahrenheit, you can choose 12 hours format as well. So yeah, nothing special over there. It is useful. I like to have both temp and a clock on my bike, because I tend to kind of forget about the world around me when I'm on the bike. So yeah, I like that. Not all the bikes have it. Let's jump into the race menu, shall we? Because there's a few things over there that I haven't showed. Again, I want to remind that if at any time I hold this, then I get the GPS indications. To get out of them, I have to hold again. I will get into the menu. And then over here, when you are moving, when you have the bike on, it will not go into the menu, I believe. Or at least it will, with a touch, get out of the GPS indications, so that it's a little bit less annoying. Let's jump into the menu, because that's actually what I wanted to do. To the road, to the race settings. Okay, there we are. Okay, so most of the stuff is basically the same. We have gear indicator, we have time, hour, engine temp. We also have now a warning about the ABS being disengaged. And it is telling me with the small icon below it that in the front wheel it is still working. So it's kind of super small, you cannot really see it too much on the camera for sure, but I can. So that's what it means. Next up, you can see that we kind of changed the layout for the speed. Now the speed is much smaller and we have a timer over here. This timer is great for track use. Once you set the distance of a track doing 1 lap, then the bike knows how much distance a lap is and it can keep track of your times. It is not as precise as a proper track setup for the timing would be, but it's certainly better than nothing. And it's something that doesn't really get too difficult to integrate. So I don't understand the bikes that have some track orientation which do not feature it. But again, whatever. Next up, what was before, our onboard computer has changed and now displays basically all the settings from the riding aids, ATC, AEM, AEB, AWC, ABS1, all of it is over there. And the nice feature is that we can use this lever on the left that is usually used for the cruise control to increase or decrease the traction control, which is great. If you want to adjust it on the go, you can just notice that it's not working on a given part of the track, so then you can adjust on the go or leave it on a higher setting, whatever you want. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it where it's supposed to be, over there, okay. All the arrows that usually move around a little thing don't really do anything when you're on this mode. You don't really need it. And the best thing is to keep it simple for the track. So that's kind of the point. But there is one nice feature. Because you have this timer, obviously you need somewhere to keep track of your laps, right? So where we're getting before the GPS indications, now if we hold the right arrow for a little bit, we get this lap time stuff, and it will display our best laps, our speed, our maximum angle, and the number of the lap in which it was. So it will order them by fastest to slowest, and on lap it will tell you if it's lap 1, lap 2, lap 3, or whatever. You get it. Same procedure to get out of here. You'll have to hold again, you will go to the menu. If you are moving, you will not come to the menu. There is some stuff over here that is on the menu special to the race mode. So since I'm gonna go now to this part, but on the road mode, I'm just gonna stay here for a while, explain a few of the things, and then if they are repeated for the road, we'll just skip them, all right? Oh, excuse me. So, we're here on the menu. Vehicle, have mostly the same stuff to use. Mode, shift light. I have it set up to 7,800 at the moment because I haven't finished the braking period, as well as the bike, while being restricted, not really needing any kind of more RPM than that, unless you wanna, I don't know, unless you wanna do something with the reps. I don't. You can also disable the quick shifter down. You cannot fully disable it, and that's something that I, again, would like Aprilia to change in the future. There's no reason to give you the option to disable the down function of the quick shifter, but not allowing you to completely disconnect it. Not many people want to do it, but some do, and so since it's really easy to do, please just do it. I don't know, it's just quality of life thing. I'm gonna leave it on because I like it. Actually, I turned it off. Anyway, next up, calibration. Calibration is something that will be used when you change tires or when you're having a lot of wear on the tires and the electronic aids are not working as well as they used to. You do this to calibrate the speeds of the wheel. So you will have to come onto this menu ask it for calibration. And when you do that, I'm not gonna do it now, it will ask you to move the bike at a given speed. So you have to keep that speed as well as you can. It will kind of guide you through the process. And if you're not holding the speed properly or whatever, it will tell you. And when you do that, then the speed of both wheels gets properly calibrated, and the riding aids work a little bit better. Emergency brake, this is something that you absolutely want to disable if you're going into the track, because every time you brake really hard, it will pop the emergency lights, and some people might also want to do it on the road, unless you want to kind of be giving out that you're riding like a hooligan. I'm going to leave them on because they are good, especially for the highway, and something happens and you stop, you want to tell people behind you that you're stopping as soon as possible. And my small advice would be that if you find yourself into this situation, get out of the way as much as you can. Just don't care. Anyway, let's keep on going. Headlamp mode is the option to turn it from the auto mode in which it comes by default to manual, and then there's an emergency mode, which I'm gonna have to check because I do remember I read that up. I do remember that I read that up when I first read on the owner's manual, but I no longer remember exactly what it was. So if somebody knows it on the comments, please go ahead, put it. I will try to read this and include a little bit of an explanation on editing. So yeah, we're gonna leave it on auto because I like how they work. There you go. I think what they're meant to do is, like, if you have any kind of trouble and you want the bike to remain light so you can see them, I think it's that. Not sure though. So again, I will include a clarification on editing after I'm done. Let's go back. We don't have any more options on vehicle. Lap timer. We already went through this. You can reset everything if you want with this option, or you can just go into the lap times like this. Usually you wouldn't want to do that because it's way slower. Display. Two options only. Backlight. Right now I have it set to only number 3 because otherwise my camera was getting slightly blinded. Anyway, I think it looks perfect for the current lighting. You don't need more. On the day maybe you want more, but what I've done is like change the mode, which can go from auto, night and day, to night. Night works incredibly well in all situations. I like it much more, but this is something down to taste. The good thing is that you can choose whatever you want. Auto, day or night. I would totally not use day mode on night because it really does give out a lot of light. I'm just gonna say that. Dashboard. Here we can set up the language, the clock, and the units. Within the units, we have a part which is interesting to many people, especially here in Europe, because we usually use liters per 100 kilometers, but the bike by standard comes by kilometers per liter. As you see here, kilometers per liter. And then you have MPG from USA as well, MPG for UK, and back to liters per kilometer. Temp is obviously very simple, Fahrenheit or Celsius. So there's that. Language, there's quite a few languages. Actually, no, there's 4 on this one because it hasn't released on the other markets probably. But it's releasing in India and in a few other countries soon, so I guess this will increase. Gonna keep it on English for now. Actually, don't really mind either Spanish or English. Just for the video, let's keep it like this. And then we have service. Remember when we talked about the user code at the very beginning of the video? Here you can change it if you did set one up and you remember which it is. Just go in here. Oh, what? No, sorry. Oh. No, I want to do that. So basically you just go in there and it asks for the old code and then for a new code. Since I don't want to do this, I'm just gonna turn off the bike. And it already left us alone. Back here to service. Code recovery is slightly different way of doing it. The one that I talked you about that you don't want to have to go through because it's kind of annoying. If you forget your code and you have to recover it, what you do is get both of the keys that you got at the beginning with the bike. It will ask you to first introduce one, then to introduce the other one, and then it will allow you to change the code. So don't allow anyone that you don't want to get both keys, all right? And version, this will tell us exactly on what kind of software we are. We're now on 102 and 101, and I believe that GPS works already on 101 of software, but I'm not completely sure about that. And I am pretty sure that with 101 you could set anti-wheelie and traction control independently. So again, Aprilia, please, if you can fix that, I would really appreciate it. I need anti-wheelie for the most part, but I don't need traction control. Okay? I guess many people feel the same or the opposite, whatever. Just give us the option, please. We're done here. There's not much more things to see. So let's change back to the road mode. I'm not sure there's anything else. Actually, no, there's nothing over here new. Everything will be the same on race than on road. So we're fully gone through that. Let's now focus a little bit on the controls. This is going to be pretty brief, very simple. On the right side, we have our lights. There are 3 options for the lights. There is like a low intensity beam for the daylights, high intensity, and then the proper lights. I cannot show you the proper lights now because the bike is off and I don't want to waste all the battery. I'm probably already pretty low on it. So yeah, but that's the function. Here we have the start, turn off option. In this bike, it's slightly different from some other ones in the sense that you don't have to hold the button down. The bike realizes that you clicked on it and will do a process to start the bike. You also don't have to use the throttle at all. It will do it alone as well. So pretty simple, just don't keep it hold, might interfere a little bit with stuff, okay? All the way down here we have our friend All the way down here we have our friend to change the map modes and the rider aids. I do have a little complaint with it. Think it's kind of hard to get to when you're riding. You can, but it's not super easy. You probably aren't meant to anyway. I'm just saying. Moving to the left, we have this trigger on the left over here, which many people complain because in an opposed way to the other one, this one is maybe a little bit too easy to reach, and some people are clicking on it by mistake when they're riding quite often. I don't anymore. I did at the beginning, not a lot, but a little bit. But when you're riding fast, sometimes you do bump into it. Probably something that Aprilia maybe could change a little bit on a next version of the bike so that it is slightly more to the inside. I don't know. Don't really think it's too much of a trouble once you get used to it, honestly. So there's that. Moving on, we have this lever over here, which is used for both the traction control when you're on race mode as well as the cruise mode. So if I hold it right now to the left, you can see that we got a new indicator over here as well as a light, which is flashing, right? Once we get this, we will also get a speed. It is usually the same speed at which you are moving. Maybe if you're accelerating, it will be slightly below. But the point is, it will adjust when you do this to the speed that you are moving, but it's not engaged, okay? If you want to engage it, you have to do another brief click. This one has to be brief, otherwise you just turn it off, you see? Let's turn it on again. And the other option that you have, other than engaging it when you're here, is to increase or decrease the speed with the lever forward or down or aft. There's nothing more to it. It does get disengaged if you do pretty much anything. But there's one thing that I like about it is that it allows you to accelerate with the throttle if you want to while you're still having it. No trouble, you can do that. But if you hold the accelerator for too long, it disengages as well. You cannot change gear when you are holding it, when you're holding the clutch. You can change gear if you use the quick shifter. So we're gonna disengage that. Then our old friends to use the menus, which we've talked extensively of already. And then we have our indicators, which are supposed to have self-canceling, but doesn't really work too well for me. Would like some further info from other people about it as well. And a klaxon. That's just about it. And basically, we've gone through absolutely all the options on the bike. There's nothing else. What we're gonna do tomorrow, since you can see it's already super late, it's almost 1 AM. Tomorrow we'll do the video about the Mia stuff. We'll delete the settings that I already have, so we go through all of it like if I was starting from zero. So if you're looking for that, just hold on. Video will probably be ready a day or two after this one. It's been a pleasure, guys. Hope you enjoyed and that it wasn't too annoying to be here with me. And thank you very much again. See you on the next one. Bye bye.